and also Jenny Scanlon. Okay. If everyone can start taking your seats, we're going to get started. If there's a seat next to you that's empty, please slide in and offer that seat to someone. I need Jenny Scanlon at the stage, please. We have a couple seats up front. If anybody needs a seat up front. All right. Margarita Lars. Oh, man, we got to spread it. I just need it up front. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. All right. I see a few more people still mingling around. Watch. Come on, man. Sit down. You good? I know you did. All right. You ready? Okay. All right. Can we get everyone settled? We are about to get started with the program. Is everyone ready? Everyone seated?
So Eric, I don't think everybody heard you. Is everybody ready? We're ready to go? All right. Well, we do have a packed house today. Let everybody settle down. First of all, before we get into more of the main event here, yo, folks, I know the food is good. Wait till the bar opens at 5 o'clock upstairs after hours. So first of all, welcome Hackla family. If we accomplish no more today, we accomplish getting everybody together under one roof as family. And so we want everybody to feel good about this. Again, if you disagree with some of the things I say or others say later, that's okay. But just the fact of us getting together in one place, I think it makes it all worth it. So before I get into things, I do have a few people I want to thank today. I see the list is growing here. But starting with Victoria Fraser. Victoria, she's around here, I know, because we worked with Victoria in setting this place up. And I've got to tell you, it's not normally configured this way. This is usually like for after football games and stuff, but instead she met all of our requirements, stage, technology, reseating everything. The food is terrific, isn't it? The food is really great, so thank you, Victoria. We've got Aaron Mitchell, who's the general manager here, Jim Balzer, who's the operations consultant, and Mark Austin is also here as well. I see I've got, pardon? Oh, Michael Tice, he's the chef. Yeah, he's terrific. So he's in charge of all the menus here. Let's give him a hand, especially. And then finally, I also want to thank our own Eric Brown for putting this together and so far pulling it off. If it doesn't go well, you're at fault though, Eric. I got to tell you that. This was his idea, and I think this is nice. This is better than sitting at the convention center in an auditorium and us being up on stage. It's a lot more interactive. Hopefully, this is a much better venue. I'd also like to recognize our commissioners that are here. We've got our board chair, Ben Besley. Ben, say hey to everybody. We also have with us Delfino de la Cruz. Delfino. And Dan Tenenbaum is with us as well. Dan? And our Vice Chair, Cielo Castro, may be joining us a little bit later. We'd love to have her come on in on this as well. And, you know, this is an important event. Number one, just to get together. Like I say, I think that's perhaps the most important part of all this. But today I want to take some time to share with you the state of the agency as I see it. It's been a while. I want to catch everybody up on what my thoughts are on that. We want to reinforce the mission of this organization. I know there are a lot of questions that have accumulated over the last few years. We're going to discuss those today, and we're going to talk about the mission, what we do and why we do it. I mean, that's really at the heart of what we're talking about today. And I also want to talk about the vision for our future. You know, how are we going forward? What's changing in the industry? What's changing with HACLA? I want to be able to answer your questions and give you a good solid sense as to what direction we're going in as an organization. So I think with that as opening, we're ready to key the video, right? And you're going to see a video up on the screen here. And I'm sure all of you can relate to this. It's why we do what we do. So go ahead and cue the video, please.
Being homeless and having your children, it was a struggle. I was very discouraged because I couldn't give them housing like I was supposed to as a parent. We were staying in a shelter for about 2 years. At times I would cry, you know, because it seemed like I couldn't get where I was trying to be at. From gangs to killings, our kids can't play outside without us having to worry about if they're going to get caught up in something. They were my motivation. Jermaine, you gotta keep pushing. You gotta keep doing what you gotta do so you can get where you need to be. So I went out and looked for a job. I was always used to people telling me, no, we don't need you, or try that, follow up with us in the mud. If you don't have a GED, you can't have this position. I was driving and I got that information and that I was considered for the position. So I had to pull over. My boyfriend was like, you're too excited. You need to pull over and celebrate. For them to be like, it's okay. You don't have a GED. We'll give you 3 months to get that together. Having this job has changed my way of thinking. Where I'm at 4 months in, I have completed 3 subjects. I'll make it. I'm going to push it. It feels good to be able to help the Jordan Downs residents and the Watts residents who are in need of jobs, because I was one of those people. I understand what it feels like to be unemployed. I know what it feels like to be homeless. I know what it feels like to be discouraged and not be able to have the opportunity to show your talents, show what you're capable of doing. Bridge and giving people that opportunity to be able to put their skills out there and giving them opportunities for jobs for the future. I'm here to give back to the community. Now it's time for me to be able to show someone else that if you push forward with faith, you'll get where you need to be. The bathroom. Wow.
My mom, she inspires me in a great and passionate way because I noticed that she means that for me and my sister.
Home means to me having your own space. Home is love.
Just knowing I'm here with my mom, my sister, that's all I need. Home is family.
In 2012,
All right. It's very inspirational, and that's one of many stories. This is why we do what we do. Now, I want to kind of trace through history a little bit. I know this is the first all-staff meeting we've had since I've been here, and I've been here now 7 years. I can't believe I've been here 7 years. It went really quickly, and there are many, many of you in the audience that have been here far longer than me. And those of you that were here 7 years ago, you kind of know what things were like. HACLA had hit a pretty major bump in the road through no fault of your own. There have been some poor decisions made, and it opened the agency up for unwanted scrutiny, and that kept on going for a long period of time. I mean, it really had to be very hard on the staff. The staff continued to do their job. I mean, HACLA did not fall off the pace of doing your work, and you know, that's really admirable. But it gotten to the point where, and this is how I came over to HACLA, I got a phone call on a Saturday from the mayor, and he said, get your, you know what, over there on Monday. So that was my notice to go over there and do what I could to get things back on track. And it's taken a while. We had to regain our credibility. We had to get the trust of the community. You know, when I first got there, we had a city controller audit that was underway. We had HUD OIG looking at us. We had HUD management review looking at us. Members of city council were presenting ordinances saying the city needs to take over HACLA. We need to change state legislation to do that. And so I spent a lot of time dealing with that and convincing everybody, look, we can straighten this out. This is a good organization that does good work. We're going to not only play by the rules, we're going to be the best agency that we can be, and we're going to spend our dollars responsibly, and we're going to address our mission, and I'm always available to answer anybody's questions. And so it's taken time, but we have regained the public trust. Nobody talks about that anymore. People like working with HACLA. People respect HACLA. And that's because of everybody here in this room. So also during this period of time, believe it or not, our federal government was pretty dysfunctional, you might say. We had, every single year, the budget was never approved on time. Never. One year we had sequestration, it was 2013. Well, they didn't even approve that budget until April 2014. Halfway through our budget year, and then we saw huge cuts. You can't run, we're a $1.3 billion operation now. You can't run any organization that way. So it was very difficult from a management standpoint just to plan with any sort of certainty. And so there are a number of fronts we had to be pretty cautious on. And quite frankly, it was really disappointing. We had Barack Obama as president in 2008. I'll give away some of my history here. I spent most of my career in Chicago. Well, I knew Barack. I worked with him when he was a community activist. I spent some time at the Housing Authority of Chicago back in the 1980s. And I would run the meeting back then, not him. It doesn't work that way now. But what I do remember, he's the smartest guy in the room, and he looks like he's 15 years old. But here's somebody that really grew up and understood our business. We've never had a president like that before, never. And then his chief advisor in the White House, Valerie Jarrett. Valerie used to be an attorney that worked for me. And later on in Chicago, Valerie became the receiver for public housing in Chicago. She knew public housing inside and out. She was a court-appointed receiver. And even more so, it was personal with her. Some of you may have heard of the old public housing project, Robert Taylor Homes. It was the country's largest public housing site, about 4,300 units of high-rise buildings in South Chicago. Well, Robert Taylor was Valerie's grandfather. So it was personal with her. She understood. And then So they got into office, and who'd they bring in as Secretary of HUD? Sean Donovan. I mean, I knew Sean. I'd worked with Sean. Well, Sean's a houser. Sean ran housing preservation development in New York City. He worked at HUD before. So we thought we hit the trifecta. I mean, everybody knew and understood our work and wanted to do well by public housing. But despite all of that, we never got our budgets. It wasn't their fault. I mean, Congress, got to deal with a dysfunctional Congress. So even though we had the dream team in there were really many years of uncertain times for us at the Housing Authority. And of course now our federal government is more dysfunctional than ever, right? So on that front, things I think have gotten demonstrably worse. We had the world's longest shutdown, and that was just last week. We're looking at the potential for something else coming up now. When the Trump administration came in, their HUD budget proposal that was first produced called for a 30% cut across the board in the HUD budget. Obviously, we know that would be devastating for the people that we work with, the people that we're here to serve. That would have been absolutely horrible. Thankfully, we didn't get that. But you know, in a kind of a weird way, I'm feeling a little bit better about things right now. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I've just been in this field for too long, but there are a few things that I see right now. I think it's important to see where we're coming from on this. Number one, there's an election in November. We've got a Democratic House. I kind of look at that as our firewall, if you would. We're not going to see a 30% cut, not with the Democrats controlling the House. Are we going to get more money? No, we're not going to get more money, but we're not going to be wiped out either. So that's a good starting point. In addition to that, 2020 is going to be a presidential election year. People are already lining up for that, right? And look at some of the candidates that we have. Senator Kamala Harris. Yeah, there you go. I see she has some fans here. She's already proposed major national housing legislation. We haven't seen people do that since I've been around. She's got a major proposal out there. Senator Elizabeth Warren, she's also proposed detailed major housing legislation. And Cory Booker that's come online. I mean, he was a mayor in Newark, he knows this stuff. He's also proposed major housing legislation. We are finally gonna be a topic come the presidential election. It's been a long time since presidential politics they talked about housing, right? Well, there's good reason for that. The reason is we have an affordable housing crisis on our hands. It's not just here in Los Angeles. We know what it's like here. We see the tents on the street all the time. We see the homelessness here all the time that we work with. And it's not just Los Angeles. It's not just California. It is growing nationwide because we've neglected our housing policies in this country. So this topic is not going to go away. People are going to take it seriously. And so from that standpoint, again, in kind of a strange way, I feel pretty good about where we're at right now compared to all of the uncertainties of the last few years. Again, that doesn't mean more money. How would you put this? It means less of less money. I don't know if I said that right, but it's something like that. So with all the uncertainties that we faced over the last few years, we came to our board, and we've had changes in the board since then, but earlier on, and we went through all these scenarios, we're getting cutbacks in capital funds, we're getting cutbacks in operating funds. Every year that goes by, our public housing stock's getting a year older, and the needs are growing. We're really underfunded. We're underfunded in administrative costs. They're going down every year, not up. We're underfunded in our Section 8 program, and our Section 8 administrative costs. And at the end of all this, one of the board members stated publicly, he said, oh my God, says if we don't do something, if we don't make some changes here, Despite all these challenges, we need to make some changes. We got to do something because we don't want to be the largest slumlord in the city of Los Angeles. We're not going to let that happen. We're just not going to let that happen. And, that really struck a chord. It struck the chord also of change. So let me talk to the change issue for a second, because I know that can be a hot button word for all of us, myself included. Change means some uncertainty. I understand that. We go out into the public housing sites, you start talking about making changes in public housing. People are understandably scared. What does that mean for me? And we talk to all of you in this room right now. You say, well, changes are in the works. Well, it gives some uncertainty. So what's it going to be like next year? Where do I fit into all this? Well, this is where I want to pull my age card. I don't think I've done this before, but just to show you how long I've been around, there are a lot of people here that were celebrating their time with HACLA. I know I can outdo anybody here in terms of time in this field. And I want to walk you through a quick historical perspective about change. Because now that I've been around for a while, I look at change a little bit differently. So I started my career, not in public housing, but in housing and community development and working in urban neighborhoods straight out of college. And here's where I date myself. The program that I first started working on was Model Cities. See, there's nobody even old enough in the room to even know what program that was. Richard Nixon was president. Does that kind of ring a bell? You know all about Richard Nixon. I could tell you a few stories about him as well. I'll save that for another day. But at the time, programs were run as categorical grant programs. You had urban renewal, you had model cities, you had water and sewer grants, you had planning grants. Everything was highly regulated, and it was the federal government that controlled it, right down to the community. That's the way it was done back then. And Nixon put out an executive order called a halt to all that and said, we got to do things differently. So Nixon proposed doing away with all those programs, consolidating it into effectively revenue sharing. He used to hold up a postcard. It says, this is the application for all the money you're going to get, is a postcard. This is what he wanted to do. It's called the Better Communities Act. And what evolved out of that is a program that we have now. It's the Community Development Block Grant Program. And at the time, that's dramatic change. It changed a lot of things at the federal level, but what it really did was open things up at the local level. All of a sudden, communities, money was being more fairly shared across the board. Communities had to develop their own capacity, run their own programs, and reach out to the broader community in which they lived. It was dramatically different. It was change. It was big change. 45 years later, the program is still around, and it's a mainstay program for all cities, Democrats and Republicans. They use it for all sorts of different purposes, but that was a big change. Let me talk about another change, and I'll tell you a little story on this one. The 1986 Reform Act. It was a big deal. It really turned real estate financing on its ear, just turned it upside down. All these models of building housing, building affordable housing. HUD had all these programs, 221D3, 221D4, rent supplement, along with Section 23, and I don't know, I can just throw some numbers out there and it sounds like it makes sense. But there were all these programs, and that was the mainstay of how new housing was being built around the country. So when the tax reform bill came out, it did away with all that. And all of a sudden, the country's left with no housing production program. Well, about 2 weeks before the Tax Reform Act went through, and again, I was still working in Chicago, the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee was Dan Rostenkowski. He was the one carrying the bill. He was my congressman. And so I ended up working with them on a small provision that was called the Low-Income Housing Tax Credit. It was thrown in at the last minute. It was a 3-year demonstration program. Nobody really understood it. Nobody had high hopes for it at all. But it got into legislation. Well, shortly after that, I went over to run a startup nonprofit organization called the National Equity Fund. And our job was to figure out, what is this tax credit and how does it work? So we went about trying to create a format. We need to raise money from corporations to invest in affordable housing, deeply affordable housing, something new for corporations as well. Raised $12 million the first year. We thought we had hit the jackpot. We'll never do more than this. The next year, when we're trying to raise money, I get a phone call and I was told, well, there's somebody that really likes the program, wants to see you. You need to go out and see him right away. I said, well, who is that? They said, well, he lives out in Omaha, Nebraska. His name is Warren Buffett. And my response to that was, who is Warren Buffett? I didn't know. All this corporate stuff was news to me. I'm a public person, you know. So I went out there. I spent 2 days with him. And at the end, he said, well, you know, I really like what you guys are doing, but the smallest thing I can do is $25 million. Can you do it? Can you spend it? And I said, oh, not a problem. So we took his $25 million, and what we did to really bring the program into prominence, we did a national news conference. We were on the front page of USA Today. We had a meeting in the White House with President George H.W. Bush, and Warren Buffett, myself. Jack Kemp was the HUD secretary. Again, there are other stories behind that I won't tell right now. But all of a sudden, our phones were ringing off the hook from all these Buffett junkies. They said, what's the tax credit and how do I get some of it, you know? And from there, the program really took off. It legitimized the program. Within 5 years, we were raising $400 million a year. National Equity Fund now raises over $1 billion a year. And the low-income housing tax credit is pretty much the only true financing program for affordable housing. It's got plenty of flaws too, but it's the tool that we have to work with. It was change. It was change. You know, the message here is that with change comes opportunity. You know, don't be afraid of change. There may be some uncertainties, but there are a lot of opportunities to go with change as well. And that's really very important to remember. And then just quickly, you know, for the timeline, public housing wasn't left out. By the 1990s, Henry Cisneros was Secretary of HUD, and the Hope 6 program came about. They could see that public housing every year was aging, and it was underfunded. So Hope 6 came about as a way of doing major redevelopment of so not to lose the housing stock. That was first iteration. Later on, the Choice Neighborhood Initiative came out, which really kind of expanded upon that concept to be a little more holistic. Terribly underfunded, but that was a way to deal with the problems of an aging housing stock. And then finally, what we have now is a program called the Rental Assistance Demonstration Program, RAD. I think they need a different name for it. RAD just kind of sounds, I don't know that I like that name, RAD. And this came out of the Obama administration, not the Trump administration. The idea was that there was just no support in Congress, even when Democrats were in control. There was no support for the money in the budget to deal with the capital needs of an aging public housing stock. It just wasn't there. I met many times with all of our congressional delegation. We've got a good congressional delegation. They said, it's not going to happen. And so the whole idea behind RAD was, well, if we convert the operating subsidy from public housing to Section 8, and we give you a long-term contract, you can take that contract to the bank, you can leverage it, you can use low-income housing tax credits. Along with that, you can do public-private partnerships, and you can raise that capital that you need to really fix up your public housing stock. That's the simplistic view of it. And there have been some housing authorities in the last couple of years that have been all in. El Paso is converting all 6,000 units to RAD. Baltimore is converting 4,000 units. Cambridge is converted. It actually works in some situations. Other situations, like in Los Angeles, it's not quite so simple. Even if we wanted to do it, in some situations it's not going to work really well. But it's a tool. It's a tool that we have to take advantage of. And it's change. And it may not fit into exactly the way we do business now, but it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity. So with that little walk through history, I'd like to really move to what we want to talk about here is our path forward. I mean, that's historical, but what's our path forward? What do I see as the vision for the organization? So we're going to walk you through this. We spent the last couple of years going through a visioning process that's fairly detailed. We've been getting the basics from that and the direction from the Board of Commissioners and the support. It's been an iterative process, but we want to walk through that right now and leave you with certain messages before we move on to some other speakers. So I believe we've got a slide deck that we're going to put up. All right, thank you, Art. So, and there are a lot of words here, and all these words are important. We decided at the end of the day to call this plan Build Hope. Well, what does that mean? Well, first of all, we build. We build a lot of things. We don't just build housing. We help build lives for people. We build a lot of things. And so we wanted this to be part of the messaging. Build Hope, with hope standing for housing. Thank you, Art. I know. Opportunity, people, and excellence. And that covers a lot of things. And we're going to break that down, and we're going to get to that. And we have a tagline that went with that that's called Investing in People and Place. Because that's what we do. As you're seeing, we invest in people, we invest in place. Very important. So I see we skipped ahead already. Can we go back a slide? We can't. Yeah, we got it? Jenny's in charge here. So let's talk about the second slide here in a little more detail. Housing, opportunity, people, and excellence. Because that's what we do. We touch on all those things. We touch on housing. I mean, that's what most people think we do. We're just providing housing to people in all different forms. We're providing public housing. These are assets we own, we manage. We want it to be clean and decent housing. We provide Section 8 assistance to private landlords. They have the housing. We're providing the assistance. It's all deeply affordable housing, but it's all housing. And most of the world thinks it ends right there, but it doesn't. We're taking a look at opportunity. There are multiple opportunities out there, not just to fund the housing, but also to impact the people that live there. We've got a lot of better ways of giving them opportunities to move forward in their own lives through access to safety, through access to better educational opportunities, for workforce development, for employment, for our Section 3 programs. All you folks, especially those that work on the public housing sites, you see the needs every day, and you see the sort of stuff that we do that most people don't even know we do it. We may not do some of the stuff directly, but we're the ones that are coordinating it. We're looking for the partners to bring to the table, and it's part of our mission. And we're going to get to that mission statement in a second. People also include not just people that are living in our housing, they include all of you. Because none of this would get done without all of you and your commitment to the mission that we have at the agency. And management's role is to support you. Support meaning meetings like this, more of these, right? Opportunities for you, clarity for you, training, skills development. We want to be a good organization that supports its work staff. And then finally, excellence. Well, excellence kind of speaks for itself. every single thing we do at every level, we want to be as good at that as we can be, and you want to be as good at your job as you can possibly be. I don't think we have to demand excellence with this group. I think we have excellence with this group. We do. I heard some yeahs out there. I mean, it's really true. All of you, yeah, that's right. All of you take pride in your work. I mean, I see it all the time. I don't comment on it enough, but believe me, we see it. You take pride in your work. We've got excellence. And I've got to tell you, just backtracking for a second, when I first came over here, I didn't know anybody at Hackla 7 years ago. I didn't know much about Hackla. I didn't know any of the people there. I was told, if you got a clean house, you got a clean house, if it's really that bad. And what I found early on was, all of you in this room, you weren't the problem, you weren't the issue. As a matter of fact, Hackla had an outstanding staff then. They've got an even better staff now. And I saw that. So the next slide up, Jenny. This slide here just shows you in a snapshot the sort of funding that we get. The funding's been going down. We need for it to go up dramatically. It just hasn't been happening, and every year that goes by, you see what happens to the age of our housing stock. Much of our housing stock is over 75 years old. That's old. I mean, I can't believe we've got 98.5% occupancy rate right now. It's only due to the great work that all of you are doing out there in the field. Half the time you're working with Band-Aids, but you put it together. This is not bad housing that's this old and so underfunded. It's because we've got a dedicated maintenance crew, management crews at all the sites. I think we do a phenomenal job at that. So let's go to the next slide, please. So from that, in a lot of respects, it's a starting point. I mean, our Board of Commissioners were clear. We need to take our time. We need to do a deep dive. We need to take a hard look at ourselves, kind of step back for a second, away from our day-to-day work, take a fresh look at all this. Let's understand what's working, what's not working, what we can do differently, what we can do better at all levels. And so they came up with a set of 4 principles. These are going to be guiding principles as we were looking into the directions that we wanted to go in. And we started with people first. Again, people first are the people we serve, and people first are in this room. People first. We got to have respect. We have to provide you with the tools and the support that you need to be happy in the workplace, to enable you to do your job, and also some aspirations for you as well for professional development. And if you're interested in the ability to move along, everything has to be done with respect. Secondly, build responsible. When we're talking about public housing, there are a lot of histories around the country. Again, I spent a lot of my career in Chicago. 2 of those were at the Housing Authority back in the 1980s. I saw what happened in the plan for transformation in Chicago, good and bad. I saw the public housing that got torn down. Actually, for a period of time, I was the developer of the new Cabrini Green development on the private side for a period of time before I came to Los Angeles. So I've seen a lot of that, good, bad, and ugly. And the most important thing here is we've got to do it responsibly. If we're going to come in and interrupt people's lives like this, we've got to be clear to them up front. We have to communicate that. We have to work with them, see what their needs are. We have to figure out a way to make this the least disruptive as we possibly can. Thirdly, organizational stability. You're looking at it here. I hope by now we're stable. Sometimes I feel a little unstable. That was a joke, by the way. But it's to let everybody know where everybody stands. It's to align our responsibilities so it makes sense. It's to make sure we have open lines of communication. It makes sure that all of you kind of understand what's going on. If you have questions, you ought to be able to ask them and get some answers to it, right? and you want to be able to work there. So organizational stability was one of our 4 principles. And then the final one was encourage innovation. So I was talking about change before. I get excited about change. It's the ability to turn ourselves loose to figure out better ways of doing things. And that's at every level. That's innovation. Some of you in the audience know a heck of a lot more about your topics than I do, and you have better ideas on those things than I do. So there needs to be open lines and encouragement to innovate and to be creative. And what this leads to is a mission statement. Now, I should ask the board what our mission statement is. Oh, no, it's the other way around, isn't it? Yeah, I'm sorry. I say that because the board has been clear, and they've been clear quite often. You need to take a hard look at the mission of HACLA. And early on I said, well, that's not very hard to define. We know what our mission is, and I would state what it is. But that's too simple. We need to understand everything we're doing. We need to understand the values involved, and every word in a mission statement is important. People have to buy into it and understand what it means. So the mission statement we've settled on going forward is HACLA is committed to preserving, enhancing, expanding deeply affordable housing, and improving quality of life for Angelenos with a focus on people, place, and pathways to opportunity. And that covers a lot in one sentence. That's our mission, okay? It's a focus on people, how we get there, support of the staff, knowing very well about how we treat those people with respect every day, inside and outside the organization. So that's our mission statement. Believe me, we're all going to learn that mission statement because it's going to be incorporated in everything we do. And I'll get to that here in just a moment. So the next slide, Jane. So this comes down to identify your role. I mean, we've got the 4 founding principles, kind of broken down to 3 strategy areas. As you can see there, people-focused, place-focused, and pathways-focused. And everyone that works at HACLA, from me on through everybody, has a role to play in that. And we need to figure out what our role is and how we go about doing that. So let's go to people, Jenny, if we could. So people's resident-focused strategies. After stabilizing the housing that we invest in, we have resident participant leadership. We need to not just talk to the residents, we need to engage them. We need to see what their needs are, what their desires in life are. It comes down to such things as community health and wellness. We want them living in a better environment. It's not just the quality of housing, it's the quality of life. We want them to make sure they've got access to educational opportunities, to better their own lives and their own life situation. We want to make sure that it's safe in the community. I mean, that's one of the biggest issues we heard, was concern over safety. Well, how do we accomplish that? And again, a lot of these things we're not going to do directly. We can't do on our own, but there are all sorts of partnerships out there just looking for good partners like us to accomplish these sorts of things. So that's the focus on people, with the outcome being helping residents attain higher levels of education, financial security, personal wellness, community security, physical health, and household stability. That's a lot. We're not going to be able to do that with everybody all the time, but that's what we set as our goal. And we want to measure that. We want to make progress on that. Next is place. So we want to create a feeling of home by investing in the structural, programmatic strategies that enable us to preserve and expand our housing stock. And let me just dwell for a second on expand. We're not just trying to hang on to what we got. We're a major player in this field. We can't sit back. We need to greatly expand our housing stock. We need to do more, and we need to find ways to do that. We're going to be looking at things such as acquisition programs. We're going to be figuring out ways to leverage the resources and partnerships we have. We want to do more. We're the main affordable housing player in the city by far. We know of the increasing needs on that front. So we want to do more, not less. We're not shrinking this organization. We're going to grow into our future. We want to focus on sustainability. And we want to showcase management excellence. Did you hear that, management? I'm talking about property management here. I'm talking about all management, of course, but property management especially. We've got excellent property managers. I mean, who else can go out and do the sort of work that you do, day in and day out, with the sort of care that you have and the understanding that you have in the communities that you work in? No one. I heard that. I think you're right. Was that you, Martin? That was Martin. Okay. I had a way to stand up, Martin. And the outcome is contribute to the health, well-being of the broader neighborhoods we serve, better manage, maintain, expand our portfolio of projects. We're going to be players here. We're not going anywhere. We want to expand. We don't want to shrink. We're not shy. So let's go to the final one of the P's here, pathways. Well, pathways deal with a lot of things here. Ourselves as professionals, compassionate leaders, organizational efficiencies, internal, external communications, with a goal of how do we deliver social impacts, how do we measure these things. We want to expand our reach beyond what it is right now. We want to ensure agency stability and transformation, to align leadership, develop talent, encourage innovation, provide the tools, resources necessary for full implementation of the vision plan. So when we say pathways here, we're doing it in context of all of you here in this room. We want everybody in here to have opportunities, to go as far in this field as you want to go. And we want to give you the tools and the encouragement to do that. Okay, let's go to the next one, Jay. So this is integrating Build Hope. We want the strategies and actions within this to be flexible to grow, as we're going to do. We want to have a new and rejuvenated culture of this organization. We are family, now more than ever. And let me say, I'm sorry Commissioner Hooper couldn't be here today, because when I say we are family, I got that from her as much as anybody else. She says that all the time, and with great sincerity. Hackler's her family. All of you are her family, and we're all together as a family in the way that we approach these things. And over the next year, we're going to be rolling out a detailed vision plan that incorporates much of this. It is detailed, by the way. It's about that thick, condensed, probably weighs, 3 pounds? Maybe more. But it's an amazing work that's had input at every level, in every single one of our public housing communities, with those that are using Section 8, with homeless service providers that we touch, with stakeholders, with politicians. We wanted to get their feedback. What do you think of Hackler, and what should we be doing? And how should we be doing it? And what are the needs out there, that we can address? And now that we've got this in place, we want to build this into our everyday natural way of doing business within the agency. We want everybody outside the agency to understand the role that we can play. We'll be looking to be expanding and increasing our partnerships that are out there. And we want to measure our successes and our failures. We want to know where to invest limited resources. So we're going to be tracking stuff systematically, from myself at the CEO level all the way down through senior management as they set up their own performance goals. We want to start providing benchmarks, metrics. We're going to analyze this. We're going to make sure that we're on the right track on this. And we're going to report it out on a regular basis. And we're going to bring that throughout the agency. We've got a great group of people here. We're doing great work. We want the rest of the world to know about this as well. And we want to show them, look, you've got a good partner in us. You'd be crazy not to work with us. So that's what this is all about. And then finally, slide 10, Jenny. I can't read it, but I guess I don't have to. Because what it's all about is HACLA together. You know, as I say, we're family. We've got to do this together. We're going to deliver results that matter. We're going to advocate. We're going to have effective social impact. We're going to look at customer satisfaction, and this is a challenging field to deal with. I mean, we all recognize that, and we got customers out there that will never be satisfied. Doesn't matter what we do; they're never going to be satisfied, right? Yeah, I heard an amen out there. But even if that is the case, we can always do better. You know, people operate under duress all the time, especially the folks that we deal with. I mean, it's tough out there, and they live under a lot of duress. We have to be extra understanding of that, and we're going to work on customer satisfaction as one of many things that we're going to be working on. And we're going to work on job satisfaction. We've got a lot of things, a lot more things we need to do with the staff. We'll talk about some of those, but I think maybe at times, well, we haven't had this gathering since I've been on board now for 7 years. What's everybody think of this so far here? I think you liked it, right? We're going to do more of this. It's not necessarily going to be at a place like this, you know, a sports bar with the bar closed. But, well, the bar's up on the second floor, and that does open at 5 o'clock, by the way. But if you're going to stay for that, please do it responsibly. It is happy hour though, 5 o'clock. But we're going to do it together as a team. You know, there's a lot I can learn from you, and maybe there are a couple things I can pass on to you, as well as the other senior management. We work far more effectively as a team. So that is a snapshot. Now you have in the goodie bags you picked up, there's a thing called Snapshot. Even goes into a little bit more detail of this short of the more comprehensive plan that we put together that touches on every aspect of our business. The full vision plan, Build Hope, is going to go up on the website. We're going to be tracking aspects of that. You'll be able to take a look at those parts that affect you, and hopefully take a look at some of those that you're interested in that may not affect you right now. But that is it in a snapshot. So let me see what is now next on our agenda. All right, yeah, we do have some chiefs. We want to bring up some chiefs here. So as we've done some of our realignment of staff, people have taken on different job duties, different titles. We felt, oh, come on up. We felt we've come a long ways. I really feel good throughout the organization. I think we operate on all cylinders now. I don't think HACLA's been in a better place in a long time than what we are right now. And so I wanted to talk a little bit, and perhaps in some cases introduce you to our three main leaders of our various operations. And I'm going to start with Marlene Garza. Wave your hand, Marlene. People. Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
And Marlene is going to qualify for the 5-year certificate here a little later on in the program. And Marlene was actually the first person I hired after I came to HACLA 7 years ago. Very first person I reached out to. I knew Marlene when I was general manager of the city's housing department before I came to HACLA. I knew Marlene there, and I know the type of person she is, and I knew she was the type of person that we needed at that time, overseeing finance of a very complex operation. So Marlene, why don't you talk just a little bit about yourself, where you're from, your background. It'd be interesting to know.
Well, hello everyone. If I don't know you personally already, I'm very happy to see everybody here. Well, I was born and raised in El Sereno, in northeast corner of Los Angeles, very close to Rose Hills. And in fact, I used to play softball at the park there, so I know that area very well. I have been working in the housing arena since 1995, since my first law school internship. And that's because I believe that housing, safe, affordable, stable housing is fundamental for every other important thing in life, really. Without stable housing, you really can't have a stable job or economic security. Without stable housing, kids can't really achieve academically. Without stable housing, you can't have physical and mental health. So when the opportunity came for me to come to work to HACLA, I was very excited about that. HACLA houses more people than any other governmental entity in the city, and it's very satisfying personally and professionally to be a part of that. I really love what I do here. You know, working in the sort of behind the scenes to support the work that everyone else here does is important, I think. It's always my goal, it's always my hope, really, that we're able to make your work a little easier. You're our clients, and ultimately your clients are our clients, and so I really love being a part of that, and I really love the work that I do with all of you.
Now, I've got to say, Marlene has taken a budget and made it fun to read. I don't know how she does that. Even the board members have said that, right? They're, you know, a complex budget that's understandable. I don't know how you do it, but keep at it, please.
Takes a village, a big one.
Next, I'd like to introduce Jenny Scanlon. Jenny?
Hello.
Now Jenny, hey, you got a fan base out there, Jenny. I met Jenny first. I was over at the City Housing Department again. I think first time I met her, she worked at the Community Redevelopment Agency for the city, back when there was one, right?
Right.
And I knew when we had an opportunity in development, boy, I hope Jenny's available to take this on. I know the one thing that I do know about Jenny is that she loves a challenge. And what I want to ask her is, are you still loving your job? I mean, is it a challenge enough for you since you've come over here and joined HACLA? And tell us a little bit about your background as well. It's very interesting.
Well, yes, I am challenged every day, and I love what I do here at HACLA. I love it more than I thought I would walking in the door a few years ago. I was not a houser. Like Marlene, I've taken kind of a circuitous path to HACLA. You know, I guess I started Burger King when I was 14. I graduated from college with a background in social work and political science. I worked for a congressman. I worked for a county supervisor overseeing welfare reform. So that was, so I'll date myself. And then I was lucky enough that the congressman I worked for was head of the Armed Services Committee, and we were doing shutdowns of military bases throughout California. And I was very lucky to end up on a commission that oversaw those military base conversions up in the Bay Area and figured out how do you take properties that were used for federal purposes and give them back to the community and turn them into something that is ripe and wonderful for the community that is around there. And how do you deal with the jobs that are lost and bring in new jobs? And that got me really interested in the field of redevelopment. And from there, I was very lucky to then work in the field of redevelopment for many years in the Bay Area, and then to bring my skills down here to Los Angeles, where I'm actually originally from. So it was nice to be back home after 12 years in the Bay Area and to really see a changed city, to see where LA had gone and where it was headed. And it was very exciting for me, most particularly to take on redevelopment in the areas where I got to work. And my first redevelopment area was South Central Los Angeles. And I was very, very lucky to be able to work in that area, to really learn the history of South LA and to be part of its changing present. and, and to really see sort of the glorious history of that community and the culture, and to be able to rise that up and to really see it become something that I think is really central to who we are in LA, which is a diverse and strong community. And so I really enjoyed that very much. Took that over to East Los Angeles, worked in East Los Angeles, ended up also working in downtown and doing redevelopment in downtown. Then from there, I ended up working in economic development for the city when the city was trying to figure out what to do when it lost its community redevelopment agency. And then I finally got to HACLA. And I was so glad that Doug offered me the position. I was surprised. I told him, I said, you know, are you sure you really want me? Are you sure that I'm the right person? And he said, absolutely you are. You are absolutely the right person. And I really am glad that he gave me this opportunity, because I have never been in a more passionate organization. I've never met a more professional and dedicated group of individuals. I've never been as challenged, frankly, in all of the positions that I've been in, and I've never been as inspired. So I'm just happy to be here.
Thank you, Jane. We're happy to have you. The newbie on the block, the latest addition to our team, many of you probably haven't even had a chance to meet her yet, Margarita Lares. Margarita came over from HACOLA, and I'm going to let you go back. How'd you get into housing in the first place? You didn't start in housing, did you?
I did not. Hello, everyone. So I've completed 4 months. I'm still here. And I actually have met many of you. I do see a lot of familiar faces. And thank you all for welcoming to your family. I got into this work by accident. I did grow up, was born and grew up in East Los Angeles, of course. And as a teenager, I actually worked at public housing through the summer and youth programs. I worked in Section 8. I gave out forms. I was a receptionist for 3 years in Section 8 and in public housing at Nueva Maravilla. Never thought I would end up doing this work. I went away for college, and I mostly have worked in human resources. I have 16 years of human resources experience, and that is my passion, and I need to say that to you. People are my passion, and I've worked in the banking industry, in higher education, in healthcare, and somewhere along, I made it back home to the Housing Authority of the County of Los Angeles. In the Human Resources Department, I worked there for 7 years, and after 7 years, I was invited to go work in the Section 8 office because of some problems going on with productivity, with compliance, and so forth. So I fell into the job by accident, and I agreed to go there for 6 months and sort of identify what the issues were. Was there staffing issues? Was it systems issues, and so forth? And I realized that it certainly was not staffing. The employees worked so hard, so hard, and no matter what they did, progress came very slowly. So I realized that really what needed to happen was a systemic change, to look at systems, to look at processes, to look at technology. And I thought I would do it for 6 months. I ended up being the director for 12 years. I was able to take that program from a low-performing to a high-performing program in 2 years' time. So I'm very proud of the work that I did, but I didn't do it alone. I did it with every employee that worked in that housing authority. And I made sure that I was the first one there and the last one to leave as well. And I think many of you know that I'm generally the first one at 2600 Wilshire as well. That's how I operate. I have a passion for everything that you do. I hope that you continue to welcome me. I'm not here to fix things. I'm here to fine-tune what you do. You already do exceptional work, but I think I have some ideas to take you to the next exponential level. So that's my background, and I'm going to continue to work with you. I'm already in some work groups with some of you, and I've enjoyed my work with you so far. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Margarita. Well, this job should be pretty easy for you because you're starting with a high-performing Section 8 program and public housing program, right? Perfect CMAP score of 100. It's kind of hard to get better than that, right?
Absolutely.
So this should make it a little easier for you, and we've got just a wonderful Section 8 team led by a wonderful Section 8 director in Carlos Van Adler.
That's right.
We've got a wonderful housing services team that's run by a wonderful housing service director,
There,
Martin.
Peary.
I can hardly see you back there, Martin. Martin Peary.
And if I can add,
And then, Marguerite, because I'm going to throw a second question your way right now,
Okay.
So I'm going to go right back to you with a second question because I know the things we talked about most and what you're really focused on right now, there are a lot of things that we can do, a lot of things to focus on, but as I talked to the group here earlier, customer service is so important and so challenging. We're never going to get it perfect, but there are other ways that we can look at this and other ways of tinkering and other ways of making it better. And I know that's something you're really focused on right now.
absolutely. So my goal for 2019 is to focus on customer experience. After all, we started today's messages with talking about the people. We are the people. We serve the people. So we need to focus on our customer service delivery and look at ways of having efficiency so that we can focus on the people. And so that's where my focus has been the last 4 months. I will continue that into the 2019. And I want to also share with you that for me, my decision to come to HACLA is for all the wonderful work that's being done here. Why not? You know, Los Angeles is my home. I want to be a part of the future of housing in Los Angeles. So this opportunity may not have come to me in my career, and I was absolutely flattered when my own peers invited me to apply for this job.
Thank you, Margarita. So, Jenny, I'll throw a question back to you. You came over here initially specifically for development. Thank you so much. I had that boulder rolled back down the hill on me at Jordan Downs so many times. I was happy to pass the boulder over to you. And look what you've done with it. You know, Jordan Downs is in full bloom right now, and that's been terrific, but we've been expanding your role. Beyond that, I'd like for you to comment on a couple different things here. One is we have a new strategic development division, if you could talk to that for a second. Secondly, we've got a lot of exciting things going on in asset management about some opportunities we feel that we have that we're working on to expand things there. And then thirdly, I'm sure very few people know about this very interesting grant we got called Transformative Climate Communities. I only bring it up because I think it's pretty unique, and it says a lot about where we would like to get to and the types of impacts we have, not just on a public housing site, but on the entire community, the role that we can play there. So could you briefly cover all those complex topics? Thanks.
I'll try. So I'm very excited by the reorganization and the opportunity I have to lead in strategic development. Which is really a grouping of some of the work that we already do, and then looking for new initiatives. So my team consists of our development services department, our asset management department. We now have a new strategic initiatives group, which is really focused on both our vision plan, our metrics, as well as our residents, and really finding ways that we can support residents and create partnerships for the agency as a whole so that we can do better at delivering our services and not just rely on ourselves, but recognize that, as Doug always says, we're better together. And so that means together across HACLA and together outside with our wonderful organizations within the county and the city and everywhere else that are all as goal-oriented as we are, as mission-driven as we are, to serve the people of Los Angeles and to serve them well. So why not reach out and across the aisle and find that unity and find that vision together? So that in a nutshell is what we're about and what our staff are doing. We are also looking for, within HACLA, opportunities for us to build on your excellence. You are incredibly excellent at what you do as you manage properties, as you manage our assets, as we deliver service. And so we are looking for new business line opportunities for ourselves. We're looking to, as Doug said, expand our portfolio of properties. So we're looking at an acquisition fund. We're looking out to acquire properties. We find it very difficult, I'm sure, in our Section 8 to have to turn back, to take back vouchers from people that are out there looking for 180 days and not being able to find a home. It is horrifying that those people can't get a home and they have to turn that voucher back in after some of them waiting 5 or 10 years for that voucher. So we believe that we can be our best landlord. And so we're going to go out there and we're going to buy more properties and we're going to find places to house those folks so they don't get turned away when they come with a voucher. So that's part of what we're doing. And we also believe that we are really fantastic at managing our properties. And there is an opportunity there for us to expand that role, to perform as managers of a whole variety of properties, for us to look at our small construction that we do every day, and take that and market it to many of our affordable housing partners that also manage properties in LA, and why can't we assist them? So it's a great opportunity. We're excited to be here and working across all of the agencies, departments, with all of you to look for those opportunities, as Doug said, to expand on the excellent work that HACLA does.
Thank you, Jenny. Thanks. And then, Marlene, I'm going to ask you to talk a little bit. We'll come back to TCC some other day because I'm excited about it. No, that's okay. No, we can do it some other time. That's all right. So, Marlene, we've gotten a lot of questions from staff. We've tried to put some explanations out there. These are weird times in this country. I mean, I think you got to admit, and I've been around a long time, and they're still weird. At the federal government level, it's hard to figure out from day to day, sometimes hour to hour, what the hell is going on. And so we just went through a shutdown. And so it's natural for all of you to say, well, how does that impact me? How does that impact what we do? I mean, what are the rules of the game? What are the unknowns? So we've looked into this. We think we've got a pretty good handle on what some of the answers are, and just to try to reassure you on certain fronts. So Marlene, do you want to talk about that a bit?
Yeah, so staff have been concerned whether or not a shutdown would trigger furloughs or layoffs or HACLA having to close our offices, and the short answer is no. A furlough, a shutdown would not trigger any of that. The important thing to know is that the shutdown is really just a suspension, a temporary suspension of funding. It is not a permanent reduction to our revenue. There are really only two situations where we would have to consider those kinds of options. That's if there was a permanent reduction to our funding, comparable to what we saw during sequestration in 2013, but that is not what a shutdown does. And if a shutdown were to last many months, and I mean 5 to 6 months, then we might be required to take some steps. The reason for that is the shutdown, again, just suspends funding temporarily. Specifically for the current situation, we do have a continuing resolution through February 15th, and we have been assured that our HCV funding will be available and will be dispersed through April, and that our operating subsidy funding will be dispersed through May. On top of that, we do maintain a reserve fund policy, so we do have operating reserves for 2 to 4 months for all of our programs to ensure that we can continue our operations, specifically in these kinds of crises or unpredictable situations. So really it would have to be a 5 to 6 month government shutdown for it to really affect us, which, as crazy as things are, I think is very, very unlikely. And one other question that did come up with respect to HCV was if funding were not available for the HAP disbursement, does that mean that we would have to close our doors? And again, all the HAP-related activity would still need to continue. We still need to continue our annual recertifications, all of the rent adjustment calculations, all those things, because we want to ensure that when funding were to resume, that those retro payments would be accurate. So the bottom line is staff really does not need to worry about having to be furloughed or office closures based on a shutdown.
Thank you, Marlene. But having said all that, I think, you know, everybody in this room, we're well positioned in that. You hate to have to even talk about that. We've got nearly 14,000 landlords that are asking questions, well, what happens to me? These are mom and pops out there. They've got mortgages to pay. You know, and all those uncertainties, and then all the residents that live there as well. It just puts so much unnecessary anxiety out there in everybody that we deal with, and we need to understand those are legitimate questions and do our best to deal with it. And let's hope we don't have to revisit this shutdown BS anymore. Okay, I can say BS, can I? Okay. With that, I'd like to invite our senior management team up here. I think you're up next, senior management group, and we also had, yes, thank you on behalf of the chiefs. Yep, easy with the chair. We'll get them up on stage, and while they're coming on up here, thanks, Carlos. I did want to introduce an additional commissioner that we have here, a commissioner, Cielo Castro, who's our vice chair. Now stand up, Cielo, please. She is our newest commissioner, but boy, she's got a great background, and she even once worked at HUD, even though I don't think she likes to admit it. But she knows our programs, okay, and she knows what it's all about. A great addition to the team. We're really happy, and thanks for taking the time to coming out today, Commissioner. So who all do we have up here? You don't have to hide behind me, Martin. Well, I want to make sure I get all the titles right. Well, let's start with Martin Peary. Everybody knows Martin. I saw you passing out dollar bills earlier. Is that why you did that, Martin? And John King. John's been around too. John. Pat Katara, who's our finance director. Pat. And we've got Tina Booth, who's been doing everything. But it's asset management right now. Thank you for Tina. And the newest addition to our senior team is James Johnson, who's our new general counsel. Next we have Howard Baum, who's also a jack of all trades. He's our deputy general counsel, as well as still managing general services, procurement, a number of other things. Thank you, Howard. I think most people probably know who this guy is, all right? Carlos Van Adder. And we've got Annie Markarian here as well. You know Annie? And just to be clear on the title, because I mess it up all the time, Annie's title is Labor and Employee Relations Director, and I'll emphasize the labor right now. And hopefully things are going well on that front. Thanks, Annie. Eric Brown. Go, Eric. And Luis Yataco, who got the sound system working before all this happened. He's our IT guy. And it's not only everything IT, but it's everything working with all the departments up here and figuring out how to make all this stuff work. And so he's a great assistance for us. Now, I think as everybody's aware, we invited everyone to ask questions while we're here. We opened a portal to do that. We got a total of 15 questions. I'm going to tell you right now, we're going to leave that portal open. So people have other questions they want to ask going forward. We encourage you to do that. The questions we don't answer today up here, we're going to answer all this in writing once we're done with this event, and so you'll have an answer to all these. But question number one that we're putting up there, I think we probably have a slide for it. Questions, answer, okay. So since we have to test for a promotion, why don't you take the names off the list of rank? The notion of interviewing for the right fit is being misused, and it's unfair to people who rank high. Wouldn't they be the better fit? And I'm glad I'm not answering that question. I think we're going to start with Carlos, and then Martin, and then I'm going to have Annie make a comment on that as well, okay?
That's right. Hello, everybody. This is a good question. And first off, I'd like to say that it is important for supervisors to do selection interviews for the vacancies they have in their offices, because we have a number of vacancies in different offices, different programs. And even in Section 8, we have regular Section 8, we got special programs, and it's important for the supervisors to go over the candidates and find out who would be best qualified for the positions they have. There's a lot of factors that go into the selection of employees for vacancies. Now, that being said, we know there is room for improvement, and so Section 8 and Housing Services has been working with HR to come up with ways to improve the process, to make it fair for everyone, to give everyone opportunities to promote in the agency, while also balancing the manager's discretion to select the best qualified candidates for their positions. So we acknowledge there's work to be done there, and we're starting to do that.
So as Carlos just said, we are working with HR to improve that process. We are always very excited when we see you guys take promotional opportunities. But what I have to say is when you're looking at those promotional opportunities, be sure and reflect on your current position, your current performance, and your current customer service. Understand that your reputation does follow you, and that presenting yourself with your best foot forward gives us a great candidate pool to select from. So continue to do the great job you do now, so that when you go for those promotion opportunities, we can gladly accept you into the upper ranks.
Well, they said what I was planning to say, but I will add. Yes, we have been working with HR has been working with the department heads to review our recruitment process, because I will say that since I started with HR in about April of 2018, some variation of this question has come up to me most often. So what we're currently doing to look at the recruitment process from A to Z is, one, we're looking at ways to improve our applicant pool. Okay, we want to take advantage of social media. We want to take advantage of technology tools out there to get a more diverse and broad applicant pool to start with. We're also looking at our testing. We want to make sure that the testing is capturing the core skills for that position. The third thing that we're looking at is our selection process. We want to make sure, and I'll say this slowly because it's so important, we want to make sure that there is fair and equitable selection for the positions for both employment and promotion. And then finally, we're looking at ways of improving our orientation process. We want, and you're going to see some components of each of these being rolled out over the course of the next 12 months. And if there are other questions related to our recruitment, myself as well as the entire recruitment team are available to meet with you and to answer those questions.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. Question number 2. There we go. This relates to our residents specifically. The question is, will there be employee opportunities and programs for public housing residents? And I'm going to ask John to speak to that as our person in the field all the time that deals with this daily. Then we're going to have Howard talk about it in our procurement process, our Section 3 programs. Go ahead, John.
All right. Hello, Hackler family. Hey, I heard that the sound is low over there, so we apologize. So I'll try to talk a little louder. But I've been blessed for the last 20 years to be able to meet hundreds of our residents over the years. And one thing that I found over the years is that all of us have this great human potential to achieve and to succeed. But the problem sometimes is there's a lack of opportunities. And so like in sports, if they don't pass you the ball, you can't score, right? And so one thing that I think is very important that this agency has done and will continue to do is attempt to provide opportunities for our residents. And not only with Section 3, but the Housing Authority specifically has hired numerous residents. In fact, some of our best employees are current and former public housing residents. Absolutely. And there are a lot, people like Donnie Joubert and Purvis Henderson and LaShonda McMillan and Tina Vernon and Leo Deer and stand up and raise, Paulette, raise your hand or stand up if you're a former or current public housing resident. Mariela Osorio, Niels Osorio, Summer Spicer, Helen Young, Lisa. There are a lot of folks. Oh, he's my grand finale. So people have been thrown the ball and they have scored. And so not the least of which is our very own Housing Services Director, a former resident of Aliso Village. And so it's exciting, as you saw in the video, Sharina at Jordan Downs, she was given an opportunity and she took advantage of it. And so the Housing Authority will continue to prioritize resident employment, not only directly through the Housing Authority, but also with contracting in Section 3. And with that, I'll turn it over to Howard.
Thank you, John. I just have to say the worst part of this is following John King, as you can imagine, which is why I have a script. I want to stay on script because there's a few important things that I want to cover here for you guys. We really appreciated receiving this question, and the reason we appreciated it so much was because it's asking about our residents, what we're doing for our residents. We know that we're not just landlords, we're not just housers. We're trying to improve the quality of life for our residents, and we do that through creating economic opportunities for them through social programming. And so we're really committed to that. Our answer to that, in part, is our Section 3 program. It's a wonderful program. It's designed to create employment and related opportunities. For those of you who don't know, we adopted this program at the end of 2014. October of 2014 was the time. And in essence, that program requires that our contractors, our vendors, when they receive contract awards, if those awards lead to new jobs and job creation, we want those opportunities presented to our residents. We want to throw them that pass, right? Throw them the ball, give them that opportunity that John was speaking about. So it's really important to us that we do that. So the question becomes, one, why is that so important? And as you said, we saw the video earlier, right? You talk about Sharina, and it's amazing. She was a participant in the Section 3 program. Employment creates skills, self-sufficiency, self-worth, value, allows you to realize your dreams, goals, support your family, love them in the way you want to. It's a wonderful thing. So, our Section 3 program gets adopted in late 2014. How are we doing? To give you perspective, in 2014, we hired 28 residents through our contracting activities. Just 28. Let's fast forward. 2017, over 200. 2018, over 200. In fact, the collective total is 450 people over the course of the last 2 years. That's about half our workforce, right? That's something to be really, really proud of. And it's more than jobs. We raise money through our Section 3 fund where we have our vendors contributing to that fund. And these are just amazing numbers. We've been able to help kids go to college. We have a number of thousands of dollars have been raised in scholarship money that we've been awarding over the last couple of years, which is just phenomenal. We've raised tens of thousands of dollars for improvements to our WorkSource Center, our computer labs, with more money coming in every day, which is fantastic. We also have money that's been raised to get our residents enrolled in training programs, education programs, including the local trades, so they can leads to long-term sustainable employment with good careers. So we're really proud of it. It's working really well, thanks in large part to you guys. And I'll close on this, which I think is just fantastic. Our Section 3 program, among other programs, I think there were 9 of them last year, actually received a NARO Award for Excellence because of the work we're doing here. So not only CMAC, REAC, high performer across the board, you guys should be proud of everything else we're doing. It's really standout work. So thanks for the question. Thank you, everybody.
And I want to just add one thing to both your comments, because I want to give a shout out to Commissioner Dela Cruz. Delfino? So, Commissioner Dela Cruz is out at all of our job fairs. Commissioner Dela Cruz is out on all of our sites. He's looking for ways to bring people into the workforce with good union-paying jobs for the long term, and he goes the extra mile. So we're lucky to have that sort of support and desire and commitment on our Board of Commissioners. Thank you, Delfino. Okay, question number 3. All right, we got it here. This relates to staff communication, interaction, and engagement. Going beyond the faces in our emails and informal events like this, how else can we promote a free dialogue between HACLA employees from associates on up to directors? We have the perfect person to respond to that, and that's Eric Brown.
All right. So look, it's a great question. We encourage all of our staff to communicate from our interns all the way up to our president and CEO. So I want to first start off by saying we do have a Twitter account. I only have about 400 or 500 followers. So everyone here on social media, pull out your phones right now, come on, and follow us at HACLA at 1938. That's the best way to find out about all the great work you guys are all doing. So as you all remember last year, we had an all-staff picnic. We recognize that. That was one of our first ones in a very, very long time. We sent out 12 e-blasts every month. I think you all received those e-blasts. That e-blast also not only go to you, but it also goes all around the country to show off all the great things that we do. We sent out 260 tweets last year. 260 tweets that went out to all my 500 followers, plus you 650 people that are here tonight. So please join that. But here's what we're going to do this year to communicate. We are considering or will be doing a brown bag lunch with the CEO. So the first 10, 15 people that sign up every month or every other month, depending on the responses we receive, we would love for you to have lunch with Doug Guthrie once a month. How about that? Now, wait a minute. Brown bag lunch. So you got to bring your own brown bag. Bring your own brown bag. Bring your own brown bag. Let's get it right. Bring your own brown bag. Stop by my office, drop a little something off too. So we are considering doing that as well. But as Doug also mentioned, that we're going to keep the portal open as well. So we're going to call it the Suggestion and Question Portal. So we will look at that every week, and we'll respond to those questions and suggestions in writing to you all agency-wide. So we'll send those out. As you also receive the e-blast from the CEO. We try to make sure that those come out regularly. So we appreciate some of your suggestions, whether they're positive or negative. We learn from those. So we want everyone to be encouraged to talk to their colleagues, to talk to their directors, to talk to their managers, their supervisors. So that's what we really want to do. But please, please, whatever you can do, go to HACLA 1938 and join so we can increase our followers. Thank you.
Thank you, Art. The next question relates to our IT systems. And the question is, Luis, you sure you want to take this one up? The question is, the computer system is extremely slow and creating delays in printing work. Please, can the agency do something, anything about this? ASAP, Luis?
Yes. Hi, everybody. I'm Luis Yataco. I'm the IT director. Nobody hates slower systems or slow systems more than the IT department. And in the last few years, we've made a number of improvements, but I wanted to tell you what's coming up. Under the leadership of the CEO and the CAO, we're going to be rolling out about 300 new computers this year and a whole bunch of new servers. And that's really going to make improvements for Elite and the Section 8 department. Now, that's not all though. We visited all the sites and their remote offices. And we understand that nobody gets more impacted from slow systems than those offices. So for this year, also in the pipeline, we have an upgrade to the speed at every office. So we'll be connecting a lot faster, opening the capabilities for us to even be in video conferencing with the different offices as well. On top of that, for this year, we're looking at a new telephone system. And what that means is that by the end of the year, all the offices will also have a brand new telephone system. Now, these are just strides forward to improve the different systems that we have. We're also looking at even the systems that we currently have as we talk to different vendors to see if we can roll out more options to interact via online, the internet, self-serving options, and others. So stay tuned, because we know that what we do is very important, and what you do is very important, and you need the best tools possible. And the IT department is committed to do whatever we can to help you in that mission. Okay? Thank you.
Thanks, Luis. Luis, I hope you have enough money in your budget to do all these things. Okay, question number 5. This is the last question we're going to do with the group here, and this is going to go to Tina. I noticed the new kid-friendly areas in the Section 8 lobbies. What are your plans for further upgrades to our public areas and offices to make them more friendly, inviting, and productive? Take it away, Tina.
Hey, Hackler family, how are you? Wonderful to see you all today. Okay, so kid-friendly areas. Yes, we have been really focusing on making our lobbies a little more kid-friendly. For those of you that have been out to the 2600 building, you've seen the little area we put together. Really happy little reading areas. You have the kid-friendly programming going on. We're going to see what we can do to mirror those programs at our Section 8 South and Valley offices. Now, I recognize both of those offices have lobbies a fraction of the size of 2600, but we'll come up with something similar, maybe a little reading area, but something nice for the kids. But we're also focused on you. What can we do to make your workspace a little happier? We're looking at things like healthier food options in the vending machines. We know a lot of you guys are driving around in these cute little electric cars, so we're going to be installing some charging stations for you to use out at 2600. We also want to make it easier for you to interact with your facilities department, make it easier for you to submit your work orders. That will not only help us keep track of those work orders, but also make it easier for us to respond. And finally, we're looking at building a parking structure on one of our parking lots. At the end of the day, we're hoping that that will eliminate the need for the external parking for the employees. We can bring everybody in-house. So again, I would like to remind you that we want your ideas. We know you guys have some really great ideas. We're going to keep the portal open. Send them to us because we're listening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tina. I know we're packing folks in here, so we want to keep things moving here. If you need to take a break, please do, but I encourage you not to, because... Did I put that the right way? You can take a break, but you better not. That's because we're now at the point in the program where we want to have service awards. So senior staff, you can step down unless you're back up here for service awards. Hey, Luis. All right. And I understand in the past, before I got here, this was a regular event for service awards. People are still angry at me because we haven't been doing service awards. I accept full responsibility for it. But there are a whole bunch of folks in this room that have now been around for a while. And so we want to celebrate them. And we want all of you to celebrate everybody else as well. So in the category, the folks that have now been with HACLA for from 5 to 9 years, we've got 53 staff altogether. And what does it mean to be a 5 to 9 year employee? I should know because I've been here 7 years. I just signed my own certificate this morning. Isn't that great? I love it. It's not just about vesting pensions, better parking spaces. You've all given half a decade of public service to help shape communities in our organization. And thank you for your dedication, support, and we hope to see many of you on the list after this one. Would all of you please stand up that have been here between 5 and 9 years? Please, don't be shy. I'm standing. Marlene, you're standing too. Marlene Garza qualifies as well. Thank you. Thank you. Let's hope your career at HACLA is just beginning. The next group is from 10 to 14 years, and we have 210 people that have been here between 10 and 14 years. Can you believe it? I've never been anywhere 10 to 14 years. And it's so great to see so many of you on this list. And there are over 200 people on the 10-year award list alone. That's almost 25% of our entire workforce. And to me, this says a lot about an organization. There are the mainstays, the bastions of knowledge, of success, future, and you are the leaders today and tomorrow. Will all of you please stand up? There are 200 of you. I'm going to count. Wow. Look at that. Wow. So you know where some of the skeletons are buried, not all of them. Well, congratulations to all of you. And by the way, those in the 5 to 9 year category are going to get certificates signed by me. I know I'm going to frame my own signed by me. And those of you in the fall into these other categories are going to be receiving pins. And those are going to be available to you at the end of the day. You'll be able to pick them up outside, and if you're not able to do that, you can always get them at the HR office. So the next category is 15 to 19 years. We have 117 people that have been here between 15 and 19 years, and that's pretty incredible. It means you've dedicated more time at HACLA than most people have dedicated to their entire education. And the red gem you're going to find on your pin is meant to signify the fire of passion needed to serve the public for so long. I didn't write this, but I kind of like that, the fire of passion. So those 117 of you that have been here 15 to 19 years, will you please stand? All right. Wow. I see a lot of people out there that are far too young to have been working for HACLA from 15 to 19 years. So I hope you're being honest about this. So in the next group is 20 to 24 years. Okay, we've got 66 people that have been with HACLA 20 to 24 years. Hard to believe. That's 2 decades. Maybe I shouldn't put it that way, but it is 2 decades with HACLA. They've seen it all. They embraced and adapted to countless changes in their careers, and they're still going strong. They're institutional foundation of our agency. Let's hear it for those who have been here 20 to 24 years. Please stand. Mariela, you too? 21 years. Wow. You too. 27. Going once, going twice. Mariela, you've been here 21 years? My executive assistant's been here 21 years, and I haven't pointed her out like I should, but I've got to tell you, it would be impossible for me to do my job without Mariela. You all know her. She's got a smile on her face regardless of the circumstances. She's always happy, and she's so organized. I don't have to do anything. She just winds me up and pushes me out the door. And so the next category, before we get to our final category, is 25 to 29 years. We've got 55 people that have been here that long. 55 people. A quarter of a century of service. All right, let's hear it. Donnie. Where, Donnie? All of you here. Man, talk about commitment. Talk about commitment. That is just really fantastic. 29? Some people are making up numbers here. But our deepest thanks and appreciation for each of you for your invaluable contributions. And now, the drum roll. This is for 30 plus years. We say 30 plus because they didn't want to admit to anything more than 30 plus. They don't want to give away the true number. And we have 11 people altogether, but we have 2, 4, 6 of them here represented today that didn't mind hearing their name called because they're so proud of their service that they've given. And I'm going to go through the list. Hopefully we see their pictures up here on the screen. And the first person is Delia Frankel. Delia. No, come on up on stage, Delia, please. Oh, you can stay right there. That's okay. I'll tell you what, we're going to bring everybody up of this group at once we're done introducing everybody. But thank you, Delia. Where's Delia's picture up on the screen? It's such a nice picture. Okay, we'll put it back up there. But let me say a thing about Delia. She started as a clerk typist for the planning department in 1988. She spent some time in HR before being promoted to administrative assistant for housing services in 1995, where she's had consistent success to this day. Thank you, Delia. Thank you. Ups. You see it? You can go around the other side of the steps. Eric, you'll kind of help me. Okay. Okay. Delia, all right. The next person I'm going to call up is Tom Mills. Come on up, Tom. I never would have guessed it, Tom, that you've been with Hackler for 30 plus years. He became a permanent employee in October 1988. Was not quite at the 30 plus yet. But Tom became a permanent employee in October 1988 as a tenant relations assistant for Jordan Downs. He's risen through the ranks, is now manager 4 for Nickerson Gardens, our biggest, our toughest development to manage, doing a wonderful job. Wonderful. Thank you, Tom. Next up is Dale Morgan. Now, quite honestly, I was expecting Dale to have his Green Bay jersey on, but I think he's too embarrassed by Green Bay this year. Dale became a permanent employee in 1983 as a gardener for Pico Aliso. He's now maintenance supervisor 2 for Nickerson Gardens, is well known throughout the agency for his pleasant demeanor, wonderful personality, and bad choices in football teams. Thank you, Dale. Thanks, that's terrific. Betty Seals. Come on, Betty. You can do it. Come on up. Come on up. Everybody knows Betty. Betty started as a clerk typist. I've got dates specific here, July 23rd, 1982. She's been an eligibility interviewer for the past 20 years as a cornerstone of the APIC department. Betty, it's terrific. I had no idea you've been working for that long at Hackler, but we're also proud of you. Ida Tillis. Is Ida here? All right. There she is. Back just in time. Thank you, Ida. Ida started as a clerk typist in the Section 8 Valley office, 1984. She's had a fruitful career with the Valley office, is now a Section 8 advisor. Thank you so much, Ida. And then finally, the one and only, Carlos Van Adder. So, Carlos joined the Housing Authority 51 years ago. I'm teasing you, Carlos. I know better. He actually came on board as an eligibility interviewer for the Spatial Programs Office in August of 1986. He's not only worked his way up, he's had probably every single position that there is to have in Section 8, and now he's the director of what I think is the best Section 8 office in the country. And he's known for his dedication, his passion for public service, and I'll tell you, it doesn't matter what situation you throw Carlos in, boy, does he represent us well. So let's give it up for all of them. Now, I've got some pins to pass out to you, so stay up on board for a second. Maybe we can get some pictures taken as well. First of all, let's have everybody, if you're interested in saying a few words, don't feel like you have to, but if you're interested in doing it, go ahead. We'll start down there. Go ahead, Carlos.
Okay. Well, you know, 30 years, that's a lot of water under the bridge for all of us up here. And back then when I started, my hair was not gray. And actually when I started as an ENO, Eligibility and Occupancy Interviewer. It wasn't even called EI back then. I can tell you for these past 32 years for me, I have been very proud to work at the Housing Authority. We do incredible work on behalf of the citizens of the city of Los Angeles. And also we get to work with a great group of people. So I've been very happy. It's been very fulfilling. I want to thank Hakla and Doug for giving me the opportunity to contribute. Thanks. And I know Ida. Well, one of the benefits of being here so long is I've worked with almost everyone in some capacity in one office or another. And when I had a stint in the Valley office, I got to work with Ida when she was a management clerk. And I even know her old name, which I can't say because it's not her name anymore.
I'm just proud to be here. I've been here a long time, and I'll always remember this. My very first day I started as a clerk, we got a bomb threat, and I was so scared, and everybody was so calm, and I'm just thinking the building is going to blow up. I'll never, never forget that. So, and I'm just proud to be here as long as I have, and hopefully soon I'll be calling it in.
Hello, Hakla family. I love you all. I have served. It's not work, it's serving. I've served here for almost 35 years. It has been a blessing to my family and I. Although I spend a lot of time here and we're close, but it's the work that we do and how sincere we are about what we do that keeps us in place. It's important that we always reach out to the ones that we serve and with respect and love and gratitude, because at the end of the day, we are here because of the mission. It's not just because of the money we make, but it's because of whom we serve and how we do our jobs. And every time we get a report, a CMAT report that tells us how well we do, I continue to want to stay another 5 years. I'm just saying. And it does you good. All right? God bless you all. I am a Hacklian.
Well, it's been 30 years, and I can't believe I grew old so fast. But I remember my first day at Hakla like it was yesterday. The way I had my hair, my clothes, my shoes, everything, and yet I'm still here. So I appreciate my department, the people I work with, a lot of people that I see out here. And I just thank you all for your help and your support. Thank you.
First, I'd like to recognize the great staff at Nickerson Gardens. And after 31 years, the 31-year long career, the best thing about my career was I found myself a wife, Mrs. Mills. Okay. That's it.
That was it? See what Hackler can inspire people to do? The opportunities are unlimited here at Hackler.
Well, wow. That's going to be really hard to beat. Seeing I already have a wife and all. Hey, it's been a long ride for me. It's been a good ride. I actually want to thank the whole agency. I worked a lot of places. San Fernando, Mar Vista, all around on the PM crew and regular sites. Hey, we got some good people here, some really good people. And like I said, at the end of a long ride, you know, like your car when you get the keys, I know when I get the keys over, I got some good supporting staff that's going to take them and do some great things with them. So it's really been good. I'm not going to answer that question down here. But this is probably the last time I get to tell you guys this. Go Packers.
All right, that was your last chance, Bill. That was your last chance. I took that personally. Well, first of all, we want to thank everyone up here, and I want you to stick around for a minute. I've got some pins to hand personally and directly to you, so give me a minute. I'm going to pass this out, but I'm sure the audience is going to be applauding the whole time I do that. So thank you so much. Well, thank you. You want to grab that one? Okay. Okay. Now we've got one more presentation, then we're gonna wind up with a final video to wrap things up. And what we're here to do right now is to celebrate the Employees of the Month. We started this program 3 years ago, probably 3 years ago. And it was an excellent idea. What happens is employees nominate other employees. That in and of itself, I think is a real honor just to be nominated as Employee of the Month. It tells you what your other employees think of you. Throughout the year, outstanding employees are nominated from each department. Department heads then choose one employee to be awarded Employee of the Month. And I've got to tell you, the most inspiring things I've heard since I've been here at Hackler come at the board meetings where Employees of the Month get a chance to speak. and I'm sure that the board members agree with this as well. They are so eloquent in talking about their passion for what they do and their feelings towards the organization. So I'd like to invite all the employees of the month for 2018 up here. Come on up on stage, everybody. We can all fit up here. Hey, it's good to see you again. Good to see you. You too? Hey, Shakira. Hello, congratulations. You can all fit up here. Okay. It's good to see you again. You're welcome. Come on up. We can all fit up here. Remember, we're Hackla family, right? We can all, don't step too far back. There's no backstop there, okay? We don't want that to happen. Come on up. We can do double lines up here. Let's get everybody up here. We have everybody on stage now? Not quite. Richard, you're up here too. Come on. Okay, and we can hold it down a little bit. We're coming near the finish here. I understand. But we have two individuals. I don't know if they selected themselves or they were selected by their fellow employees to really represent the employees of the month and to have a few words to say. I'm going to start with Stephen Dixon. Now, I know Steve, and I've seen Stephen in action. He's an eligibility interviewer for Section 8's VASH unit. He's been there since 2008. He was awarded Employee of the Month in September 2018. I've seen him in action. You know, his smile draws people to him, right? People are just naturally attracted to him, and he gets the work done. I've seen him at work out on the West Side VA campus. We're on the spot. We're issuing VASH vouchers to help out homeless veterans. He does a great job, and I'm going to invite him to say a few words.
Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing today? I just want to say thank you so much. The coming up, standing here, looking at everyone. Everyone look beautiful out here. I'm seeing a lot of people I haven't seen in a long time. I've been here for a little while. I'm so appreciative of this Employee of the Month. I mean, at Hackla, since I've been here, it's been a great time. I love being here. I love servicing the people. Anybody, 1, 2, 3, what's my slogan? All right. But I just want to say thank you so much for the nomination. I want to thank all of the directors, Section 8 director, the assistant director, my assistant managers, all of my supervisors that gave me the best direction, that gave me the equipment, the mental, the physical ability to just continue to do this work that for the people, for me being the people to the people. I just want to make that strong. But anyway, I want to say thank you, and thank you again. That's it.
Thank you. That's a great job. And then finally, representing the Employees of the Month for 2018, we've got Victor Gonzalez. Victor's a plumber with Pueblo del Rio. He's been a full-time plumber with Hackla since 2005. He was awarded Employee of the Month in September 2018. Victor, a few words.
Thank you, thank you. I want to thank the Executive Board, the Directors, the Board of Commissioners for this award of Employee of the Month in September and all the following Employees of the Month. I want to thank the management staff at Pueblo, Robert, Marcela, and Mia for pushing me to strive to be better, the office staff, my co-workers, even though we don't see eye to eye, don't get along, we get it done. You know, we go out there and we get it done, and I enjoy working at Hackla. I'm a plumber. I love the challenges that every day it's something different. You don't know what you're gonna find, what you're gonna run across, and I can't wait to get up here and have 30 years, but I don't think I'll make it that long. I only got 15, so I want to thank everybody. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Victor. Okay, you can step down. I'll tell you what, as we start to wind this down and after we're done, people are going to be welcome to leave, but people are also going to be welcome to stick around if you want to, just to socialize a bit. I'll let you know ahead of time, there's a full bar in Arcadia on the second floor. Opens at 5 o'clock after work hours. All right? So that'll be great. But let's, if you would, if I could have everybody's attention as we wrap things up here. Everyone, please. We have one more video that we would like to show. And I remind everybody once again why all of us are here and what you're able to do. I know for me, when the job gets tough or feels overwhelming or it's just too complicated or I'm just plain worn out, all I have to do is to go out and see just one person that's helped by the work that we do, right? You know what I'm saying. Look at the people we help. We are changing people's lives. We're saving people's lives, okay? That's what we do. We are all making a difference. Don't ever forget that. And so take it all in. So let's go ahead and roll this, this closing video, okay?
I can't really put it into words. It's just so overwhelming that I got an actual place where I can make my own, rent payments to a house, to an apartment house, and get my own self back on track instead of, trying to find out where I'm going to get my next meal. Now I can cook, I can do everything that I want to do. I got my little baby girl right here. So, that's what it boils down to.
I grew up in San Diego, and I have three sisters and a only boy. And I didn't do too well in school. And then the Army helped me graduate. I went to adult ed and graduated early, and then joined the Army. And I actually got out of the Army and did construction. Me and my girlfriend's house got foreclosed on. We had to go, and we didn't have anywhere to go. So we slept in the car for like 2 or 3 months. I have a stepson who's 10 years old, and then I also have a 1-year-old that is amazing. It's been very nice to have somewhere to keep them warm and have them with them, because when we were homeless, we had to let my mom have them. It wasn't, it's heartbreaking. But now I'm just with them every day, and I'm very happy. The housing story is very helpful. They got me into the house very fast, so it's a lot faster than I thought it would be. My worry about when I got 16 is I didn't want to live in a bad neighborhood. I think Section 8, I think bad neighborhood. That's not true, because I found this place. You put the kind of landlord that wanted to accept it. And I found this place. I thought that was time to do that. My goal in 5 years is to own my own company, and have a nice savings account for my kids to go to college, and to be a little bit comfortable, and not worry about being homeless.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your patience. I know, really, I enjoyed this and feel it's an honor to be here with all of you. What's it? Oh, the pens can be picked up outside as you leave. People are welcome to stay here on their own time if they like. Again, the venue's open upstairs at 5 o'clock. That's an hour off. The whole neighborhood around here is nice to walk around, see things. Myself and management will stick around if you want to do some selfies or something. I'm happy to do that too. So again, thank you. Thanks, everybody. I know where it is. I actually fought for safety.
Watch like a fan.